You know life has its ups and downs. Turn your pretty face to an ugly frown. Seems that when I fix one thing,
Hello, welcome to The Awakening. I'm your host, Angela Brown. Today's topic for discussion is women are different than men. We all know that. But today's topic is going to be dealing with the strengths and the courage that many women have that a whole lot of you men out there don't have, so don't get prejudiced against us. Today's guest is Kathleen Hines, and we met at the Women Empowerment Lunch. Sitting next to her is a very handsome Dr. Doula.
Right.
I took my time. Dr. Doula. That sounds so good. It's like Dr. Doolittle, the movie or something like Doula. I want to welcome both of you to the show. And I'm so proud to have you come here with me today. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Kathleen. Other than that you're very pretty.
Well, thank you.
And young.
Well, basically, I am a small business owner, a minority-owned business, and I have two businesses. Actually, I'm assisted living manager of a Hines House Assisted Living. And I also have a nonprofit, a community nonprofit, Educare Resource Center.
What is Educare Resource Center?
Educare Resource Center is a minority-owned, community-based nonprofit which gears its programs towards women, veterans, persons with disabilities.
Like people who are out on the street looking for homes and things like that?
Yes, one of my programs is actually geared specifically there. It's the home sharing program. Which I felt the need to create with the economy being as it is and the foreclosures being the way it is. I felt the need to provide those housing services for people that can't qualify for their homes and apartments.
You're a very kind person.
Well, thank you.
You have a big heart.
Yes.
How do you know Dr. Doula?
Well, actually, I met Dr. Doula about 3 years ago at an event that he spoke at, and I recognized that he had a really big heart for the community, and I approached him with my card praying that he would listen to my ideas, and he was kind enough to sit down and meet with me, and the rest is history.
And how do you feel about this?
Well, I feel great. I can tell you this, Mrs. Hines has a heart for the community, a heart for the people. And at the time we met, I was the president for the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce. And we were launching several programs that dealt with everything from well, housing to employment opportunities and things of that nature. And she stepped up to the plate and said, I'm one of those people that's creating a business and trying to move it forward. And I would certainly like to work with the chamber. And the more I got to see her heart and her business, I knew it was a good fit.
Good fit. What other things have you done? I hear you have a lot of a background on yourself as well.
Well, I've been around the block a time or two.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm a retired Air Force officer.
Yes.
Served 30 years in the Air Force.
Wonderful.
From there, I was a educator and college professor. Taught communications at 3 different colleges and universities. I was the director for Health and Human Services for Prince George's County for 4 years, and the president of the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce. So my heart belongs in the community. I love doing community work. I love working with
How about a family man? Do you have a family?
Have a family, married for be 41 years tomorrow.
Well, congratulations!
Well, thank you very much.
Happy anniversary to the missus
I
too as well.
Appreciate it. And we have 1 daughter and 2 grandchildren.
Wonderful. Okay, Kathleen, let me pry into you a little bit. I know you said you have 2 children.
Yes. Married.
Ages?
My boy is 9 and my little girl is 11.
Okay. And how long have you been married?
For 14 years this
14
month.
years this month. Cool, cool. What does your family think about what you do?
They're very supportive.
They're
very
supportive?
supportive of the things I'm doing in the community, and they're there with me every step of the way. They know it's a struggle because any small business, they have
When
their
you
struggles.
first start out, it is a struggle. You got to fight tooth and nail to get to where you're going.
Definitely.
It is. Why do you think we as women take on more on our shoulders than men do?
Well, I would say that women...
I don't want to be prejudiced, but I mean, we do take on a lot more.
Well, it's been historic that women take on more than men,
Yeah.
that we are able to handle more stress-wise. And just like with the field I'm in, healthcare and dealing with the elderly and people with disabilities, there are more women in that field than men because we can take on, you know, more stress and more the gore that men historically don't.
Right. You seem, I read eyes, and you've got a lot of kindness in your heart. People tell me I wear my heart on my sleeve, and you do the same thing.
Well, thank you.
And you won an award. You ought to tell the audience about the award that you won at the education lunch that we had for honoring women. That's where we met.
Yes, exactly.
October
And
the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, October the 2nd.
October the
that's right.
2nd.
Yes, and it was Women to Watch. It was a Women to Watch luncheon that awarded women that have nonprofits in the area, and I was honored with an award, which I'm very appreciative of.
Tell us what that award was.
Well, it was for Educare Resource Center being one of the women to watch in the community, and hopefully as I grow, you know, I'll become more, you know, more well known on the services I provide to the community.
Okay, let me tell you how I got started. I lost a little boy, Richard, to murder.
Oh, sorry.
And I've always, you know how you're a mom, you're in your own family, you're doing what you're doing.
Yes.
But I always wanted to do things for other people, because by doing things for other people, it always made me feel good.
Right.
No matter how tired you are, it made me feel good. So when Richard was murdered, I went to the trial for the man who killed him. And he just didn't seem like he even cared that taking my son out, stabbing him to death like that. So anyway, he was sent to prison. And everyone said, Angie, don't you want to see him get the death penalty? And I said, no, because if he's killed, that will not bring back Richard. I don't believe in the death penalty. I don't. So what I did was, after about a year, after I had a chance to think about, I went through a divorce, and I had 3 other children, and I wanted something to do that I could maybe help killers. So I asked to go to Jessup to talk with this man who killed my child. And I can tell you, when I walked in the door the first time, I felt like I was at home.
Wow.
For being such a big institution and murderers are in there and so forth, I felt like I just walked in my own house. I felt safe and secure. So they let me see him. They didn't want me to, but they did. So I told him, I said, I forgive you for murdering my son. I forgive you for the pain that you caused me, but only Richard can forgive you for the pain that you put him through. And I turned my back and I walked out and I said, I got to help the kids. And I went right. Everybody says, you can't do this. I will do. You tell me I can't do something, I'll fight you to the ground, and I will do it.
Exactly.
So that's how I got started in Cheltenham, Waxters, Jessup, up in Marlboro, all through Baltimore. And I have got a house, too, just covered in medals and awards.
Wow.
And I said, I don't deserve this.
No.
This is my heart. I don't need something to tell me what I just did.
Exactly.
And so I can see what you feel, because you have a burning desire. And I'm not done yet.
No.
I'm not done yet. I've gone to London to work with HIV. And Stedman Graham went with me. He's a wonderful man, by the way, a really nice man. And so I go wherever I'm needed. I want to go to Africa next.
Wow.
So what are some of your goals? What is the most important aspect of what you're doing? What's number one for you?
Well, number one is to really be able to do as much outreach and just reach the people in need, because I don't feel that enough is being done.
It's not.
As far as, especially with the veterans being homeless on the streets.
Yes.
You know, women and their children being put out in the streets because they're losing their homes. So basically my goal is to reach the people in need, so I can.
How do you plan to do that? Through this show, for one.
Right, through this show,
You will get
of
a lot
course.
from this. You will.
Well, of course, advertising, doing more radio shows, and just word of mouth, and contacting social services offices that are supposed to be out there to help the people, connecting with them
Sometimes
more.
when you contact those people, you're lucky if you get a call back.
Well, this is true.
I hate to say
No,
that.
it's
I'm
true.
really sorry, but
It's
your heart.
true.
It's true.
It's roadblocks, definitely roadblocks.
There are definitely a lot of roadblocks. You got to knock them down one at a time.
That's right. And so basically that's what I've been doing.
And you've got brochures and
and I have
cards and
brochures
stuff.
and
You go knocking
cards.
on your neighbors' doors and letting them know what you're doing.
Oh yes, all that. All
Good,
that. And I
because if you-
continuously do the same thing. I make my calls to the people who have supported me in the past, and I continue to keep that rapport going.
Well, you can count on me if I can ever do anything. This is not the first or the last show.
Well, thank you.
But if you need anything, all you got to do is give me a ring. You know how to get me.
Yes, I appreciate that.
But let's talk about the guys for a while.
Okay.
Do you find out when you're, your goal and mine basically are to helping battered women, because I was a battered woman, so I know what that's like.
Oh, wow.
So I've had quite a life. You have to read my book.
I will.
But I mean, the more I've gone through, I find reasons for why I went through them. And so I'm tough. I open up that door. If you don't open it, I'll kick it open until I get somebody to listen to me. And so I don't want you to do that and go to jail, because I've got a big mouth. But I mean, we have to really get noticed.
Yes.
Number one, you want to help the women first,
Yes,
right?
most definitely.
How?
And that is to provide services for, like you say, battered women. Because this is Domestic Violence Month.
It's almost over with, yes, but it goes on every single day.
Exactly.
It
And
doesn't
so
stop.
we recognize it on this month, because it is a need to reach out to the people, the women that are battered, and to provide comfort and services, supportive services, and housing, and which I do with my programs.
A woman is beaten and battered every 7 seconds.
That's right. That's right.
Every 7 seconds.
Women in particular, exactly.
Yes, I use my home as a shelter.
Wow.
Until I got beat up. I came home one night from getting groceries, Dr. Dula, went in the house and put in my purse and my money, thank God, and my car keys. But when I came back out, I was jumped from behind. I just finished a class in my house. I was dragged down the driveway, my kneecaps, I didn't think they were ever going to heal.
Oh my goodness.
And slammed my face against the side of my car, broke a permanent bridge. And they just walked off like nothing happened, but it was a cold January night and it was dark. You could not see who the person was, because they had black jeans on and black hoods, and you couldn't see their faces. So the only thing I could come up with is because I was helping. So now I've asked for grant money so I can take women someplace different, because I'm not ready to die yet.
No.
And I don't want to be beat up anymore, but I won't stop what I'm doing.
No, don't.
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
But just be very careful. I told you this to protect yourself, because, you know, I was even told to carry a gun. I don't want to kill anybody.
Right.
No, But you work with, how do you go to the women? How do you find out about them? Do you,
Well, with contacting government agencies, word of mouth, I actually have some outreach programs that I'm trying to set up now.
have you contacted the House of Ruth?
Actually, I have.
You have.
Door shut.
Door
Once
shut.
again.
Fine, be
but I have
honest
to
on
keep.
this
But I
show.
have
This
to
is
keep
truthful.
knocking, as you say. I have to keep knocking.
Knocking and kicking if you have to.
Yeah, and veteran women are also a target, and they go through the same issues as well.
Yes.
And so getting with VA and getting grants through VA is not easy.
No,
although
because
Obama has set up millions of dollars for these programs, but yet it's not trickling down to nonprofits like myself.
It's not helping the little folks like
No,
us,
it's
but one
not.
day we're both going to be up way up
Well,
there. Don't forget, God's right up there, and
That's
God
right.
watches over all of us. He does.
Truly.
When things are going bad and you're ready to cry and ready to give up, I never give up.
That's right. That's so true.
What do you think about all this, Dr. Dula, being a gentleman?
Well, being a gentleman, I would
And then
first of all
you're not
say,
abused, I can tell.
being an officer and a gentleman. No, I would say that.
That was a good movie.
And, you know, I'm an old Southern boy. And growing up down south, we were taught, in my family especially, that you treat women right. There
with
was
respect.
no such thing as hitting women. There was no abuse like you see today.
Black eyes, knocked out
Most
teeth.
certainly, that aggression that seems not to be controlled. So I would say basically that first of all, it's wrong. And second, I would like to encourage our young ladies and women in general to look for the signs that are visible so that you can avoid down the road some of the heartache that comes with either verbal or nonverbal abuse.
Because there's 6 parts to abuse, not just the hitting you. It's
right.
verbal, physical,
That's right.
mental, emotional, sexual, and financial.
That's right.
I lived in a house where the windows were nailed shut inside and out, so I couldn't get out.
Wow.
And to hurt me so I couldn't go to work, he'd take all the phones out and the briefcase. I couldn't even get to work.
Wow.
So, but I've learned lots of things along the way. You know, on a very first date, I don't know if you're going to agree with this, if you're going out with a gentleman for the very first time, and if he looks at you and he says, I don't think I like the way you're dressed. Do you think maybe you get a little bit too much makeup on? You're with a control freak.